happy to see all of you joining us and taking your time this afternoon to be part of our very interesting social-technical debate where we are looking at the 4IR Aquatech, and we are particularly focusing on the water, food, energy nexus. We would like to tap into the minds of young people and try and find out solutions that we can, use to solve our water, energy, and food crisis. And I'm happy to say that this is mainly looking in the Eastern Cape. So we know that the Eastern Cape is currently under a drought, and I'm very confident that with the help of young people, we will be able to find solutions to our problem. I've heard lots of people saying that we need to find solutions to our African problems, but today I'd like to say we need to find solutions to our South African problems, particularly in the Eastern Cape. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm really privileged to be chairing this session, and I know that there is a lots and lots of solutions that will come out of this engagement. So the main business of the day today is to try and map all the challenges that are faced within the Eastern Cape. And I'm happy to be joined by my distinguished panelists that will be joining me today, who will help us, to map and to try and unpack the different challenges that we face in the Eastern Cape when it comes to water and food and energy as a nexus. We know that the three are dependent on each other. You cannot unbundle or face one without affecting the other. So as we seek security when it comes to water, as we seek security when it comes to energy, and as we seek security when it comes to food as well, we need to ensure that we solve the three in parcel and at once. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I warned Lucky before assigning me to be the chair that it might have been the bad decision ever to ever have made in 2021. As you know, I tend to say a lot, but it's not about me today. I'm not part of the panel. My duty is just to ask people to join the virtual podium and to come and deliver and touch us and let us hear what my distinguished panelists have to say for today. So as I've said again, thank you for joining us, and thank you to the distinguished panelists. I hope that at the end of this program, we'll have come up with good challenges that we are going to sit down together on Saturday and Sunday and allow our young people to find solutions to. So without further ado, allow me to move on and at least save us some time. I am going to call upon Mr. Mbulelo Sogoni, my DG from the Eastern Cape Office of the Premier. I'd like to call upon you, sir, that if you could please join me on the virtual podium and please give us some welcoming remarks. Thank you very much, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ashton. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I'd like to see your face, though. I'd like to see your face.
That is exactly my problem.
Oh, okay, sir.
That is exactly my problem. The other time we had a meeting, I showed my face very well, but today I'm struggling. Mm-hmm. Please, please, colleagues, pardon me for that.
No worries. You can go ahead. Okay. We can hear your lovely voice. Yeah, your lovely voice is well appreciated.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome all of you to this session. Thanks in the main to the CEO of the Energy and Water Sector for the initiative. I know that it has been a collaborative initiative. My name is Mbulelo Sogoni, and I represent provincial government as Director General of the provincial government. When we first got to be approached about this initiative, we really were excited, owing to exactly the point that Ashton was making in his opening statement, that Eastern Cape is really drought-stricken at the moment, and it has been quite for some time now, in particular the western part of our province. You remember that it is a province that values agriculture and is endowed with all the kind of land that you would wish to have in order to produce food. But with the scarcity of water, it is difficult to produce that food. It's difficult to produce that food currently. The livestock is dying. Farmers are not able to till their lands. Even when you link that with energy, we even went to the extent of initiating a project that we refer to as Umzimvubu. It's a hydropower project, because we again wanted to link water, energy, and food. But sadly, that project hasn't really taken off the ground, because we thought that with it coming on stream, it will solve many of our water problems, it would solve many of our energy problems, and as well as contribute to the production of food. But with this initiative, an initiative where we could collaborate as various players in the ecosystem, and try to solve a find solution to all of these problems of the Eastern Cape. We really are welcoming the initiative, and we are excited about the initiative. It's going to take more than, as they always say, it's going to take more than just government to solve these problems. It's going to require this collaborative effort, and we have no doubt that if we come together, if we put our minds onto it, we are going to succeed. You are therefore welcome, colleagues, to this session. I know there is a program on Saturday, program on Sunday, as Ashton referred to earlier. We may not always be there, but we really would wish to express our excitement and wish the entrepreneurs all the best. May those who will ultimately win be representing all of our aspirations and take this journey with all the seriousness that it deserves. As provincial government colleagues, we know that we can only succeed if the municipalities of the province get to be on board. If the water boards that serve the province get to be on board. And in this case in particular, we invited in our discussion earlier in the month, we invited all the district municipalities and other key municipalities in the province, like Makanda, like KSD, those kind of municipalities that we know that they tend to have problems with scarcity of water, or their clientele has expanded where they need to be providing water has expanded such that they would be keen in participating in this program. We had a very good discussion. Everybody was excited about the initiative. Everybody expressed their willingness to be part of this initiative. We did miss out on that day inviting Amatola Water Board, but this time around, albeit belatedly, we tried to reach out to Amatola Water, and I would be glad if they managed to make it to the meeting. And my apologies in the event those invites arrived a bit late than ordinarily should have been the case. Let me not take it any further than that. Ashton, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much once again to all the leaders in the meeting, practitioners in the meeting. And again, I make the point that had it not been for the leadership demonstrated by Paul, the the CEO of the energy and water sector, maybe we would not be where we are now. Thanks to you as well as the team in your office. Ashton, thank you very much. May this session then proceed with success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have your blessings now, and thank you so much for really highlighting, the different, interventions or activities that you have implemented within the Eastern Cape. And most importantly, as the chair of the Young Water Professionals, I'd like to say that we really appreciate and we like to share the sentiments with you that as long as we join hands together and we sit in one table and we face the problems as a cohort, we are bound to succeed. And with special thanks to you as well in doing all the efforts to get all the municipalities on board and to be part and parcel of this solution providing initiative. Without further ado as well, I would like to call upon my CE. It has been long, my CE. I think COVID has robbed me seeing you at some point. I last saw you at the Young Water Professionals Conference in 2019. I don't think we have seen each other beyond that. But thank you so much for the support as well from EWCTA that you continue to showcase, as Mr. Sokoni has said. So without further ado, my CE, please, can you join me on the podium? And with all the humbleness from my side and appreciation, I welcome you to the virtual program. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. And good afternoon to everyone who's in the room. Good afternoon to Ntate Sogoni, the DG. And we thank you very much for allowing us into the province. Good afternoon to all the municipalities that are represented in the room. Good afternoon to all the EWCTA team that's in here, and most importantly, also good afternoon to all the creators that are in the room, that we know a lot is going to come from them and no pressure given. We thank you to also the team that has been putting this together, from the marketing, from even the water boards that are also involved in this. If there's anyone from universities and from different communities, also we welcome you and thank you for participating in this very important initiative, a start of what we want to see a difference and an impact in our province. And I'm going to call it our province. I'm not going to be very long in what I'm saying. All I'm going to do is to welcome. We've already been welcome, and I'm going to just double welcome people into the room and just highlight why this is very important and why EWCTA is going this route. We, as Energy and Water SETA, were concern and what we bug ourselves with on a day-to-day basis to ensure that there is skills development in the energy and the water sector. And the skills development is to ensure that we are responding to some of the NDP plans to grow our economy from a GDP perspective, and to ensure that we are reducing unemployment. And ultimately what we want is that in all this, there must be inclusive participation. When there is reduction in unemployment, even our young people are participating there. When we are contributing to the economy, we've got young people who are contributing to our economy. Key to what we are doing today also as EWCTA, we've identified Eastern Cape as one of the areas to focus on. From our name, we are Energy and Water SETA, and there are a number of challenges that we struggle with countrywide, but specifically in the Eastern Cape, we've set as EWCTA and says there is a role that we know that young people can play in that space, and we are going to use skills development to ensure that they are well capacitated to drive solutions. You probably, because you've received an invite, you probably have seen the plan and the program for the 3 days, and this is only the start of coming up with solutions. And what is exciting today is the people who are in the room. We're not going to find people overseas. We're not going to find people in Gauteng. We're not going to find people in other provinces to come and clarify to us the challenges that we're experiencing in the province. And we're not going to go out of the province to go find solutions. What we are doing is that we're saying there is talent in the Eastern Cape. There is creativity in the Eastern Cape. There is available people who are available with hands and ideas. And what we want to do is EWCJ says, let's partner with you. Let's partner with the province. Let's partner with the municipalities. Let's partner with communities so that we are clarifying and articulating these challenges and coming up with solutions so that in the long run, we don't have people in the Eastern Cape who are drinking with cows. I said in the long run, because we know that it might not happen tomorrow, it might not happen in the next year, but we're saying in what we are putting together, we need to see an impact in skills development. We do not want to train for the sake of having people in class. We're not going to have an entrepreneurship program where we are putting some entrepreneurs together and it stops there. We want to walk with you in the 6 months journey where we are capacitating with you. We are capacitating you, where we are giving you access to people who will mentor you, getting understanding of the industry, testing your solutions so that what is coming out of here really stands the test of time and brings about the change that we all desire. Again, I'm going to thank the province, and what we're doing in the Eastern Cape, we are hoping that it will be successful, and we're hoping that we'll be able to roll it out into different provinces as a model that works. Energy, water, and food, and we know that Eastern Cape, you may focus on agriculture. The main driver there is water, and what can come even out of the agriculture space is energy. So we want to look at how do we complete the circle so that the entire province is benefiting from that. As I said, there is talent, there is passion in the province, and what we want to do is just to ignite that passion. And we need our municipalities. Thank you to the municipalities in the room. Let's not be shy about putting down what the challenges are. And let's go wild and put it down and expect a lot from the innovative minds to come up with those solutions. I'm looking forward not only to Sunday, but I'm looking forward to after 6 months, in 6 months' time, where we are going to be looking at solutions that are already being rolled out, which is what we need. And this is not a one-year program. We are looking for a long-term partnership with the province so that our mark as EWCTA and also that the mark of the young people who are in the province may be felt, and then communities ultimately benefit and have better life. We talk about the youth of yesterday, that they brought about a change. Can the youth of today also bring about a change that the people in our communities, in the villages, in the rural areas are going to say, we have tap clean water, we have access to clean sanitation, and we've got dignity in lives because of the young people who existed in 2021 and in 2022. Thank you very much, and all the best I'm looking forward to the discussion, and all the best for the next 3 days and for the next 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my CEO. What a way to ignite the passion and the talent. I mean, you said that as EWCTA, there to ignite the passion, the talent of young people to solve their local problems. Without adding on to what you have said, I think I would love to just say that the ball is in your court as young people to stand up and to provide these solutions. As the CA said, it's in the long run. It's not something that's been done overnight, but we all would like to see a change in the next 6 months to a year and forming those long-term collaborations with the Eastern Cape province. Thank you so much, my CE. We really appreciate your presence and your support. Without taking much of your time as well, allow me to move on with the program, and I would like to call upon Utatu Upeni Mfazwe. He's from Endilu, and I must say that he comes with the wealth of experience as an entrepreneur. He continues to to innovate as he ages on and as he becomes younger and younger by the day. So without saying a lot and taking away from his time, I would like to also invite you to the program. Please tell us who's Andy Low, and we'd like to know how has been your journey, all these years as an innovator, as an entrepreneur. The podium is yours, sir. Sorry, it's Mr. Mfazo here. Oh, there you go, sir. You are in mute. Please unmute yourself. Okay, he's getting on the call. I think he's on mute. He just needs to unmute himself.
Thank you very much, Ashton. I don't know what to say about the wise words by the CEO. I wish I had time to elaborate on that. I think she touched a very special nerve in me. However, my brief at the moment is to talk about the anti-loo toilet system, which came from a very, very funny situation. However, that is a story for another day. You see, the anti-loo toilet system is fully compliant with the human rights requirement. We sat down, read the human rights requirement regarding toilets, and then we designed. We sat down, talked to WRC, and then finally designed the product. So it is a product that is human rights compliant and WRC compliant, meaning that it can be used anywhere. The special feature about the anti-loo is that the operations and maintenance system is different from any other system in that it is in the hands of the users, unlike the waterborne system. In fact, all toilets fail because of one thing: operations and maintenance. For as long as we don't recognize that important problem, you will never have a proper sanitation system. We have made our attempt at it. We believe that it is very much possible. In fact, we have tried it in about 5 provinces, and everybody is very, very happy. We're still waiting for government to take on. Of course, government don't turn quickly. It's going to take time for them to realize it, but it is there. It is ready for use. We also believe in one thing: if you invent something new, it's a big effort. Therefore, you may as well come up with something that has got double or more impacts, like the anti-loo. Every beneficiary of the anti-loo toilet system will have a permanent job for as long as they go to the toilet or their children go to the toilet. Permanent job is there. This is something that I believe is very novel about the toilet. I mean, very few people would think that toilets would create permanent jobs. And this is a very important program for any government that is beset with the problem of unemployment, because it does not segregate between rural and urban. It's even better for the rural because most of the raw material we're using biomass material, and that is very much in abundance in our rural areas. In other words, from doing the normal briquette, which I will explain later, they also have the responsibility of churning out charcoal to make the briquette from the biomass that is lying there, even from the invader species that are drying up our rivers. We calculated the other day that if all the rivers were to be, we get rid of all the invader species there, you're looking at 14 dams as big as a valve that can be made up, that can make water available to the people of South Africa. Quite a long research we did, but it is there. In other words, the creation of jobs by the toilet system not only removes the backlog in sanitation, it also creates permanent jobs for our people. Obviously, that impacts very positively on service delivery. Critically, though, it also standardizes the toilet that must be used, which will have an impact on the economies of scale, which will make the toilet very, very easily affordable, even to, in fact, at some stage, people can just buy their own toilet if we had the economies of scale. But this is progressive thinking that would need somebody that is really, really concerned about what is happening in the sanitation space. We are there. We believe that we have a role to play. Of course, we've got to wait for the wheels of government to turn. Unfortunately, in South Africa, sanitation is in the hands of government. If they decide to mess us up, they will. If they decide to solve the problem, they will. It's not like toilets are traded in South Africa, where we could put up a business plan, interact with the end users, and then solve the problem, but not here, because somebody is going to say, why must I pay when I'm entitled to, by the laws of the country, to get a toilet from the government? That is one thing that we've got as a big, big problem. Coming to the technology itself, it's so easy to operate. All you do, you already know. To operate the toilet, you open the lid, you close the lid. In those two actions, you have performed 10 functions that make our toilet special. We don't want you to touch this button, that button, go that. No. You just open and close. That's all we want you to know. To clean it once a week or every now and so often, you just take a wet piece of cloth, wipe it up, and inside, the best detergent is used in the toilet, and that is heat. We incinerate everything inside that toilet. We don't even need to clean it because that is the best detergent that you can use. I don't care what amount of water you use from where, you will still have pathogens and all that kind of stuff. And once you have done that, that's it. We teach you how to make the briquettes. We would give you the aggregates for making the briquette, because that briquette, which is the fuel that runs the toilet, is also patented. It's a very simple, anybody can make briquettes. If you can tie your shoes up, you can make a briquette. That is how easy we've tried to make things and make O&M, which every municipality will agree is very, very hard to manage. We have done all that work. All you have to do is to avail yourself of the NDLU, give the people the best service possible. It operates far better than the waterborne system, which everybody seems to think it works. But if you want to think a little bit and look a little bit backwards, the waterborne is an improvement, and we believe that we are bringing that improvement. Another special feature is that we believe in group effort. Doesn't matter how efficient you are, you cannot do O&M for everybody the way it is centralized at the moment, where the municipality must do everything, give you the toilet, clean up the toilet for you and all that. Surely there's got to be a stage where people must do things themselves. But what we have incorporated in our system, it is an incentive to do that, giving the people the job to do. When they do their job, they're helping themselves, they're cleaning the environment. And if I had time, if anybody is interested, they can just send me their WhatsApp numbers. I will give them a 2-3 minute video so that they can have a look at that. Our government is very much aware, but even the Eastern Cape of the NDLU, we're just waiting for them to come on stream, and then we roll out. The NDLU, incidentally, was invented 2 years after we addressed the problem of water, energy, and food security. We did a lot of research on them, millions of rands we spent on that. Our approach was that we will develop around Mzimvubu something that will create an iDesert between Durban and East London. We got that study ready. Government, all we need is just government nod. Sometimes I want to say that they must keep their money. They must not give us money. They must just give us the okay and the support that is necessary to get a mega project like Mzimvubu going. We will get the money ourselves. If we can create a toilet from nothing, why would it be hard to get money which is floating around everywhere? But what is not floating around everywhere is government approvals. All we need from government, give us the approvals to get on. We even consulted the chiefs in the Mzimvubu Basin. So I'm trying to say that what we are trying to address today, water, energy, and sanitation, we have addressed that. We know for a fact, we researched it, that the province can be off the ESCOM grid. There's 2,000 megawatts that is lying there at Mzimvubu. We can take the Eastern Cape out of the ESCOM grid if government just gives us a nod. We can supply actually 50% of the water in Mzimvubu to the Orange River scheme just by getting one tunnel to join Mzimvubu Basin to the Orange River scheme. That work is done. We have done all that. Food security, we've got 50 billion of projects that must exploit the waters around in the Mzimvubu Basin. We've got forestry, we've got agriculture galore, with a special emphasis on exporting, because we believe that that will be a food basket that can supply food to the whole of South Africa. Thank you very much, guys, for organizing this kind of platform. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the thought-provoking talk. We really appreciate your wisdom and sharing with us, the journey of an entrepreneur. I did make some notes, when it comes to the way you invented your NDO. One of it was the fact that you did consult with the communities and with the traditional leadership. I mean, that's very important. As was alluded to by my DG earlier on and my CE, that there is that importance of working together, and as well as your sentiments when it comes to the challenges of entrepreneurs, that there is a lack of commercialization or adoption of technologies into the water sector. I mean, that's a very big challenge that we all have to join hands and try and do our best to solve. And thirdly, I heard you talking about bringing in the water and energy food nexus into the fray, highlighting how the NDLU solves the water and energy nexus. We don't need water to flush our toilets, and we can also produce briquettes, which is value-added products, from our own waste. I mean, what an innovation, what a way of really harnessing and embracing a circular economy. And you also spoke about Mzimvubu as well, that there's a lot that can be done in that basin, and in order to provide that water security. And also the DG did talk about producing energy, hydropower from that, and also spoke about all the different kinds of agriculture that can be realized in that basin. So thank you very much. I think we did shed light to the entrepreneurs. They at least have a sense of understanding on what it means to be an entrepreneur and the kind of things that they can start to tap into to solve the problems in the Eastern Cape. We're now going to go into another segment, and I'd like to call in my panel, which will comprise of Mr. Alvin Anderson from Border. He's going to be sitting in part of the breakaway session for water, and Mr. Stephen Nash as well from the General Manager of Water Provision, Amature District, who's also going to join us, and then he's also, I think, he's going to sit in the water side as well, and Miss Caitlin Tiane, our energy specialist from EWCTA. So these are my three distinguished panelists that I would like to call upon them now to give us some presentations and just to highlight this water, energy, and food nexus. So maybe first of all, let me call upon Mr. Alvin Anderson from Border. Please, if you can share your presentation with us, and then I'll ask Mr. Stephen Nash after you in that order. Thank you so much, and over to you, Mr. Alvin.
My name is Alvin. I'm Anderson, and I work for Border. I'll be sharing my screen. I just want everyone to confirm if they can see it. Just give me a second. I just want to confirm if you can see my screen. Hi, Ashton, if you can confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay,
Go ahead.
perfect. So today's theme of or flow that we decided to take as based on the presentation today is going to be, is water efficiency worth solving and why? If a lot of people may not know who BORDA is and what do we do. So BORDA stands for Bremen Overseas Research Development Association, and we're basically an organization that's worldwide. As you can see here, we are located in 6 regions and over 20 countries with over 400 specialists globally. What BORDA does is basically we come up with these full scale cycled decentralized sanitation modules, which is aimed at treating wastewater. And it's, DVATs is basically simple. They don't require any chemical inputs, less water, and it doesn't require any electricity. So it's basically off-grid sanitation. And the idea behind it is, it's simplicity. It's making the community get involved in matters that we are in charge of. And I think it's important that water is life, and it's important that we take care of water, and we come up with the way of making sure that we don't waste our water. So the decentralized wastewater treatment solution is simple and easy to use. And it goes through the waste goes through different treatment modules, where there's a primary treatment module, a secondary treatment module, as well as a tertiary treatment module, depending on what the waste that's going to be treated. And the benefits of DVATs is basically it's simple to operate and maintain, as I alluded to. It reduces the pipe lengths and pump stations. It requires no electricity or chemical inputs, and it's low operating costs. It can be placed in and or near communities, and it has the added on advantage that the treated effluent can be reused, depending on whether it's on biogas and on irrigation. This is just basically the characteristics that the DVATs can treat, and applications can be provided in individual households, new and existing settlements, institutions, schools, hospitals, small and medium size enterprises. Depending on what you would like to. Basically, DVATs is customizable. And here we work closely with the municipality here in Durban. So we already have a DVATs demonstration site located in Newlands Marshu that treats 84 households. And I will just show you a small video where it explains the concept, which was made by the Fecal Sludge Management Alliance. So I hope you guys enjoy. Yes, Latin? Oh, okay. Currently, nothing is playing. Oh, okay. That's so weird because I'm still. Okay, let me just try and see if I'm back on again. Just give me a second. Okay. and get things back up and running on my side. Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. Just give me a second. Let me try and make this happen a bit. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody, can you just give me one or two more yeses so I know we're all alive here so I can keep going?
Can see clearly.
Okay, so this image that I'm showing you on the screen is, as my colleague explained, is the Newlands Marshu DWAT site. And let me run it through you. Let me take you through it, okay? So this is an overall shot of the site. What you can see on the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the first vertical flow constructed wetland. And at the second, and at just a bit above that, you could see the second flow constructed wetland. So this is an aerial view. Is my cursor visible on screen? Can you see me moving a cursor?
Yes, we can see you moving a cursor.
Awesome. So let's see if I can. Okay, so this here is the anaerobic baffle reactor. But it's not just an ABR. So we were trying to show that we can combine the modules together. So this is actually a settling chamber, this first portion there. Then you get an anaerobic baffle reactor. And then finally you got the anaerobic filter. So this forms the main component of treatment. And really what we're doing here is we're forcing the wastewater to not just flow through the chamber, like if you picture filling water in your bathtub, it just flows across. In this case, we cause the water to flow up and down through the system by building in walls or using pipes inside of this chamber. And we do that to create retention time. You know, like how you leave food out, it eventually goes rotten. It's the same with bacteria. If you put them in a chamber for long enough, they start settling and they start getting hungry. They want to consume fresh waste. So the wastewater that comes in is fresh. They start consuming it and actually provide a level of treatment because it's removing the organic pollutants from the system. So we cleverly combine these modules together to create the main component of treatment for the DWATs. Then what you can see here over my cursor is a siphon chamber. So we say that DWATs, and Alvin, please time check me as I'm going along, because I get too passionate and I forget about time. In this area here, we have a siphon. It's basically a pump that doesn't require electricity. We looked back 100 years to the principles of buoyancy, and we developed a device that doesn't require a source of electricity in order to flush. So we're currently fabricating a new one in Durban. It's going to be made out of stainless steel. The one in here is made out of plastic. And we've also found that they're also available in America and Europe, but really, we in Africa, we need to produce solutions that are easily replicatable here in this in Africa or in South Africa, and it needs to be easily accessible. So let's see if I can get another shot. There we go. We're getting better now. This is the first vertical flow constructed wetland. Basically, if you look at built up areas, like if you go to a hotel, you flush your toilet, you never know where the wastewater goes. So if we're going to be putting a decentralized treatment plant in a village, for example, we need to provide a level of service but also the social impacts are most important. We need to make it aesthetically pleasing, and we need to also make it a safe system or a safe technology to be implemented in an area. So you could make this ABR's concrete chamber actually a multi-purpose court to provide the kids somewhere to play. And you could make these filters into a garden. So you could literally plant into these filters, and someone wouldn't actually think that this is actually a wastewater treatment plant or a decentralized wastewater treatment plant. And in here, again, we're just using gravitational flow. So there's no chemicals, no electricity, it's just water flowing by gravity through the sands. And as it percolates through the system, there's a level of treatment that is attained. And that's because on the sand grains, bacteria forms. And again, that bacteria gets hungry. And when the new wastewater comes in, it feeds on that and provides a level of service that actually meets the national discharge standards of our country. So we're currently piloting this in Westville North, which is an area in eThekwini municipality. And we're hoping to have 2 sites ready in the next year. And these are just some research projects that we had on site. We always want to improve. We always want to make things better. So we apply for grants. We make appeal to students to take on PhDs and master studies guided by us to actually improve the treatment system. And yeah, this is just the Newlands Marshu DWAT site according to our drone. Alvin, is there anything that you want to touch on that you want me to zoom into?
No, I think we are fine, Lloyd. I think I just want to do a time check. I think, Ashton, I don't want to take up any more time because of the technical issues that I had. Is it fine if we stop here?
Yes. Thank you so much, Alvin and Lloyd. I think you can stop here. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation and demonstration of these good solutions that really harness water and food nexus. I think it does make sense to the entrepreneur that these are the kind of solutions, as Mr. Ben did highlight, that decentralized is more or less the way that we should go, than waiting for centralized systems that are run by our municipalities. So I'd like to thank Boda. We know about the wonderful work that you guys do in the KZN province, and a number of collaborations as well with the schools in terms of providing sanitation. Thank you for the presentation. Let me move on now to Mr. Stephen Nash. If you could also please step in and do share your presentation as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned, I'm Stephen Nash from Amatoli District Municipality, and I'm involved in water supply and sanitation to the district. Just give me a few moments as I try and share my screen. Can you just confirm what you're seeing at the moment? Are you seeing the presentation, or are you seeing the background of the presentation?
Nothing from my side. I haven't seen any presentation, Mr. Stephen.
And now?
Still nothing.
Let me...
It sometimes takes some lag to come up. Maybe just give it a few more seconds.
Sorry, now I've lost the entire share option. Great. All right. So just very quickly, what I've decided to do is just focus on water conservation and demand management as a introduction to the water challenges that we have. I haven't focused on any of our solutions. I focus more on our challenges, hoping just to stimulate some thought amongst our innovators today. So just very quickly, just as an introduction, this was an extract from the South African Water Conservation and Demand Management Strategy. It says South Africa's water resources are indeed limited and scarce. The situation is worsened by occurrences of drought, as we heard earlier, and the increasing demand associated with population growth and a developing economy. As a country, we are approaching the full utilization of our available water resources. Further water augmentation schemes will be costly and are likely detrimental to our environment. We therefore require strategic change in the use and conservation of our water resources. Our water is a precious resource that has to be used efficiently and as efficiently as possible before we consider any new water resources and development. And just as a way of background, we are currently implementing a large water supply scheme. It's going to cost probably over R1 billion by the time it's finished. And it's essentially to assist us to supply water to an area that is already using about 3 times more water than they should be using. So if we were more innovative and could find ways to use that water more effectively, we probably wouldn't need to implement that expensive scheme. So just looking a little bit at some of the challenges that we have. So our main problem being experienced by our communities is an unreliable service. We get phone calls on a daily basis from people who haven't had water from a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few months even. And that's not the kind of service that we as a municipality want to provide. The challenge, though, is that our services are unsustainable. We've got poor cost recovery, and that's linked very much to the fact that services are by and large unaffordable, specifically to a rural municipality such as ours, where we have a very large indigent consumer base. Linked to that, we have a very high per capita consumption. That means people generally use far more water than they should be using. If you know, the design standards in South Africa, specifically for indigent consumers, is 6 kilolitres per household per month. That's 6,000 litres per household per month, or the way they calculated it was 200 litres per person per day, assuming 8 people in a household. And what we find is that people are often using a lot more water than that, which puts a huge strain on our services. We have high water losses, which also exacerbate the problem. We've got old infrastructure. One of the other challenges is inaccurate billing and meter reading. And all this results in limited resources. If we're not getting in the money, we can't invest in equipment, personnel, new infrastructure. So it's a challenge. One of the big challenges that we face in a rural municipality is the economies of scale, poor economies of scale, and large rural areas. And just by way of an example, water is very much dependent on economies of scale. And largely the labor costs, electricity and chemicals are a fixed cost, but staff used to operate a water treatment works are pretty much fixed with regards to the size. So you need 5 people to operate a small treatment works, and you need 5 people to operate a large water treatment works. So if you're only treating 100,000 litres of water a day, you still need those 5 people. So if you divide those costs into those 5 people, you have very expensive water. Whereas if you've got 5 people and they're treating maybe at 1 million or 10 million litres of water a day, the costs per kilolitre come down. So one of the challenges is this whole issue of economies of scale in rural municipalities. We also have a challenge of data management. Just being so spread out across a large district, just so many things happening, and data management is a challenge. This also is from that. This slide is also from that Water Conservation Demand Management Strategy, the South African strategy, just to show you once again how many different aspects go into managing our water resource. We've got water resource management, which is, we think about our dams and what needs to go into looking after the dam itself, but also the water that's going into the dam. How are we educating our communities with regards to that? What are we doing with rehabilitating our water resources? There's a whole issue of distribution management, which is where us as a municipality mainly focus, and that's with regards to the interaction with our communities and our consumers, metering, replacing infrastructure, preventive maintenance, infrastructure optimization. So there's a lot happening with regards to distribution management. And then there's a whole consumer management side, keeping our consumers aware and educated in terms of the use of water, going in and doing retrofitting, which is basically assisting indigent consumers to repair their leaks, managing the tariff and the billing, repairing leaks and implementing regulations. And then you've got the return flow management, which is mainly the waterborne sanitation and how that effluent comes back into the water resource house, treated and finally released back into our rivers. This is just a slide of the International Water Association water balance, and you can see it's quite complex. There's lots happening there. But essentially, I just want you to look at the first column and the last column. We've got a system input volume, so we've got water going into our system. And what municipalities need to know is how much revenue we're collecting for that water, basically what's happening at the end of the day, what proportion of that water is revenue water, are we generating some income, and what percentage of the water is non-revenue water. And you can see there are lots of factors that influence non-revenue water. This is just an example of how we manage our try and ascertain where our water is going, how much water we're losing. So this is a screenshot of the Alice town, and the different colors represent different zones. And those are discrete zones, so we can link the billing that happens in that zone to a bulk water meter and see what the losses are and how much revenue we're generating in a particular zone. So that's sort of at one end of the scale. And then this is at the other end of the scale, where you can see a large rural community. You've got houses as far as the eye can see, scattered all over the place. And we somehow have to manage providing water to this community as well. Very difficult, very costly, and very difficult to pick up things like leaks, very difficult to recover revenue from that. Educating people about water usage, it's a big challenge for us. And then just some pictures of some of the challenges and some of the interventions that I'm doing. On the left-hand side, it's the photo there. It says a PRV installation. That's a pressure-reducing valve. So if you reduce the pressure in a system, it reduces the volume of water that you would lose through leaks. It also reduces the number of pipe bursts, and so it's a very cost-effective a solution for helping to save water. The problem is that it's highly technical, and you need staff who understand it and can repair and maintain it. We've got reservoirs and old infrastructure in very poor condition. You can see right at the bottom, there's an example of a pipe burst. We've got leaking water meters. We've got consumers who've removed their water meters and just basically bypassed that the connections and receive water for free. And then the graph on the top, it's one of the methods that we use to analyze how much water we're losing. It's called a night flow analysis. And if you notice the graph, that sort of straightish line at the beginning of the graph, that is essentially water that's flowing at night. And we know that most people sleep at night, so there shouldn't be water consumption. And that's showing 200 kiloliters, there's 200,000 liters of water flowing per hour during night when no water should be flowing. So that's a good indication of how much water we're losing. So those are just some just different facets of managing our water resources that I thought I just wanted to highlight and just bring to your attention, hopefully stimulate some thought and help you as you come up with some ideas to assist us to reduce our losses, improve our billing, improve our revenue collection, improve our data management, and help us to manage this valuable resource that is such a scarce commodity in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Nash, for highlighting the major challenges within the district municipality. I think that, as my CEO did highlight earlier on, that we are here to ignite the passion and the talent. So I hope that young people on the call right now, you are beginning to think about solutions. As you can see, the plague that we have within the province, particularly speaking about non-revenue water loss, pipe bursts, stealing of meters, and bypassing in order to get free water, edge infrastructure, and so forth. So these are one of biggest challenges that we have, and we know that we deem these as the low-hanging fruit when it comes to solving our water issues. That these are easy to solve using some very good fourth industrial revolution technologies that will detect leaks and that will be able to highlight how we are consuming our water. So I hope that this does ignite the passion of young people to start thinking about alternatives or ways of solving the crisis. I know that some of the solutions won't be technical, but they might be socially orientated, because how does one get the motivation of removing a meter and then wanting to get things for free? So these are the things that we face as a country. Without further ado as well, let me bring in Ms. Katie Mtiane. I know that Mr. Stephen did show us a picture of a village where we have got a scattered settlement. And I'm wondering now, how do you get to pump the water to all the different households up the mountains and down the mountains? So I'd like to bring in now Ms. Katie Mtiane, energy specialist, from EWCTA, just to talk about energy security. And if she can answer this question for me, how do we get to ensure that we conserve energy when supplying water to such a scattered settlement? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, momentarily, and you did stop sharing. I don't know what happened. If you can share again.
All right.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me to present at this very esteemed session. So I'm from the Energy and Water SETA, and I just wanted to highlight that these were the areas which I'll be talking about. I'll be touching briefly on our mission and vision, just to give an overview for people that might be, or young people that might be hearing about the SETA for the first time. So in terms of our vision as a SETA, we are all about creating a sustainable tomorrow today through skills. And our mission is to ensure that we embark on research to determine the skills demand, and that we facilitate and coordinate skills development programs that respond to sectorial challenges. Our main sectors would be the energy and the water sectors. So from an energy perspective, we look at all the various energy sources. And then from a water perspective, we look at water, waste and sanitation. And then we look at driving excellence through quality assurance. We are very much involved in ensuring that there's quality provisioning in all the skills development interventions that are implemented, through ensuring that we have accredited skills development providers, and that the actual content in which the participants are engaged in has been accredited by the various bodies. And then we foster an ecosystem in the energy and water that creates an inclusive economic development. And then in terms of our value chain, we anticipate skills and occupations in high demand. I've already mentioned that we are able to anticipate through embarking on the relevant research, which gives us the data on what skills will be required to actually respond to the sectorial challenges. And then we identify our skills priorities, where as a CETA will be mainly focusing our funding. And then we also look at our strategic stakeholder needs, and we prioritize those needs from an industry perspective. And then once we have done the anticipation, then we move on to the planning aspect. So we would formulate, this is where we would formulate our implementation plans and ensure that our strategic plans and our operational plans are actually responsive to the industry needs. And then in terms of our execution, we ensure that our implementation is aligned to the sector strategies and it's responsive to the change drivers that have been identified. And then we are very much involved in ensuring that we work with our strategic partners to drive for impact on the various projects, and that very important for us that that quality and compliance is of those projects is it's very important, and we prioritize that because we want to ensure that these learners are actually absorbed by the industry. And then we do evaluation as well to ensure that we monitor and evaluate the various programs that we're implementing through data management impact assessment. So we do evaluative studies to trace our learners who have been through our programs, where they are in the sector, how are they participating in their contribution. And we also get response from employers to just to give us feedback on the effectiveness of our training interventions to ensure that it's responsive to their needs. And then we want to ensure that there's continuous improvement, and we ensure there's integrative performance reporting and monitoring. Then moving over to the just energy transition, I'd just like to speak to the fact that as a country, we are also participating in what has been a global trend, where we see the global movement towards the green economy, towards ensuring that our environment is sustainable, that we reduce harmful greenhouse gases. And I just thought that I should start with the definition in terms of the Climate Justice Action Alliance. The energy transition is defined as a transition that is vision-led, that unifies and places a set of principles, processes, and practices that build economic and political power to shift from an extractive economy to a regenerative economy. So we want to ensure that we, from an energy perspective, we move away from your fossil fuel and we transition towards renewable energy. And then the principle of ensuring that it's a just energy transition, it needs to be just and equitable. It needs to readdress past harms and create new relationships of power for the future through reparations. So it needs to be an environment where it enables your previously disadvantaged or people that would not naturally would have participated in the energy sector to be able to participate and to be beneficiaries, and to actually place them within the value chains of this the energy sector per se. And then in terms of our government's response to ensure that we are responsive to the Paris Agreement, we see the National Development Plan and the Integrated Resource Plan 2019 and the Carbon Reduction Act of 2019. So those were our policy responses from government, and which obviously impact on us as a sector, because we have to ensure that we are responsive to government and we become an enabler for government to actually reach their commitments. And then from an integrated resource plan, we see government implementation and ensuring that they're increasing the allocations towards your renewable energies. So we see that by 2030, they're looking at an additional 2,500 megawatts coming from the hydro space. And there's been a very huge contribution, and that is expected to come from wind, which is 14,000 megawatts, solar at 6,000 megawatts, and oil and gas at 3,000 megawatts by 2027. And in terms of nuclear, it's 1,860 megawatts by 2024. We would appreciate that when we're talking about wind, it's mostly coming from your Eastern Cape as a country. And then with solar, it's both the Eastern Cape and the Northern Cape. And then from an EWZTA perspective, we are responsible for implementing the National Skills Development Plan, which is in response to the National Development Plan. So our role is to ensure that we identify and increase production of occupations in high demand, that we play a link between the areas of learning and the workplace. So we link your post-educational, the PSAT system, which is your post-education system, post-school education system, to the workplaces, which is your TVET graduates and as well as your university graduates, to available workplaces in the energy and the water sectors. And then we improve the level of skills in the South African workforce. So part of the country's ability to transition, it will be our ability to ensure that employees who are currently involved in the energy sector in the way that it is currently set up are able to also be upskilled and participate in the renewable energy. So they would need top-up skills for them to be able to do that. And then we want to increase access to occupationally directed programs through our various interventions. And obviously we want to ensure that those programs, those occupational directed programs, we target your TVET colleges to ensure that they are able to participate. We want to ensure that most of them are actually accredited to deliver those occupationally programs. And then we support the growth of the public college institutional type and key provider of skills. I think I've already touched on a bit on that. We want to ensure that the public college system is not left behind, and that they are able to provide the much needed skills to both their learners and to their TVET lecturers themselves, to ensure that the lecturers are actually exposed to industry. And then we do skills development support for entrepreneurship and cooperative development. We also encourage work. So we encourage and support worker-initiated programs. And finally, we support career development services, which are aimed at increasing the pipeline of young people who are willing to participate in the energy and the water sectors, and provide solutions towards addressing those towards addressing key challenges in these sectors. And then from a global perspective, this was, I just wanted to highlight in terms of where we are, that this is just the latest data to say that 789 million people are still without access to electricity. There's 2.8 billion people without access to clean cooking. We can see that there still has been a low consumption of renewable energies. So it's not just a South African challenge, but it's a global one. And then we still need a lot of capital investments that need to come in to really spearhead and actually drive growth within the sector. And then just looking at this map, I just wanted to highlight the different renewable energy development zones that have been created through government. And we can see that within the Eastern Cape, we have two, which is Stormberg and Cookhouse. And then I just thought I should just raise high-level challenges in the energy sector. So from a global perspective, our ability as South Africa to transition, it still remains low. And then there's a lot of uncertainty with regards to the delays that have been created in terms of the RIP 2019, because there was a lot of times where investors and employers were quite uncertain and it led to some retrenchments within the sector. But from a policy perspective, we're happy now that we see that the IPP office has been able to provide that certainty, and we are seeing the bidding process being resuscitated, and we're hoping that those projects will definitely improve and unemployment within the communities. And then energy does, however, and before I move on to the next one, and actually address our energy crisis as a country, because we are well aware of the current load shedding challenges, and that our current grid is not able to be responsive to the needs to drive the economy forward. And then energy does become a key enabler for economic growth and for the water energy food nexus. And if we do not have sufficient energy, that it impedes all the other various sectors in terms of achieving their mandate. And then we do have some challenges, obviously, in terms of raising capital for our energy infrastructure, but we are hoping that the RIP process will be able to address those challenges, coupled with the policy certainty. And then we definitely need to ensure that as a country that we seize the opportunity that the renewable energies are providing for us to stabilize energy supply and to meet our energy needs, and also to ensure that our communities on the ground, our young people are able to participate. So it becomes an enabler for transformation. It becomes an enabler for them to be located within the energy value chain, and for them to come up with solutions, so that it's not just the country constantly importing these various components from overseas and not necessarily growing our industries. So we want to actually ensure that we have Black industrialists involved in the energy components manufacturing. And then we're looking. One of the main challenges, obviously, of participating in these opportunities is skills. And as a SETA, that's where we are geared to actually to be responsive and to drive for change. And the only way we can change is to ensure that people are exposed and receive the necessary training and are supported, both from an entrepreneurial perspective and also from an unemployment, where we are responsive to reducing the unemployment levels, because unemployment gets exacerbated if people do not have the necessary skills to participate in opportunities that are actually presenting themselves to them. And these opportunities will obviously drive for economic growth and improved lived experiences for our people. And then the last main challenge I just wanted to highlight is obviously the inability of our local communities to participate in the energy and water value chains on current projects that are being rolled out. And you'd find that, yes, they are participating in the project, but does not necessarily place them within the value chain. So they would come in, you would find that within an IPP perspective, the community is probably involved in grass cutting, which from an energy and water perspective, we actually want them to be involved in the production of the energy or in providing subsidiary services in the value chain itself. Because when we are not able to contribute towards providing those skills, then we are definitely not transforming the sector. And then finally, this is my last slide. I just want to highlight that in addressing the challenges that have been addressed, that we need multi-stakeholder collaborations to drive value-driven projects that will address local government and national imperatives, and that will need mutually inclusive priorities and objectives to respond to these needs. And then we need to be deliberate in how we want to ensure that these initiatives become transformational. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nkiane, for the wonderful presentation as well. Thank you for highlighting the work that EWCETA does on the energy context and also highlighting the challenges that we face as a country. I mean, I hope that young people will pick up a number of energy issues, and thank you to all the nudging that has been done on the ground. That now we had the announcement of I think it's another big level, being extended to about 100 megawatts. So that's a huge step towards that direction. Apologies, we are running short of time, so I would like us to quickly attend to a poll, and thereafter I think we can then go to our breakaway sessions. If you can go to your bottom right hand of your screen, you'll be able to see under activities, there's more like three shapes: a triangle, a square, and a circle. So if you click there, you'll be able to see that there's an option to join a breakaway. So I'd like to ask our participants to answer the poll, and thereafter we are going to have three different breakaway sessions. One will be discussing energy, and one will discuss water, and one will discuss the food. So we'd like our participants to choose which group would they like to join, and we'd like to go into those groups and discuss all the challenges that are faced within the province. I mean, young people who are in the province, you know what is happening, and with the help of our experts today, they'll be able to guide the discussions. We'd like to leave this afternoon with at least problem statements that will really pave a direction for our hackathon on Saturday and Sunday. So the main business of the day is for us to go into the breakaway sessions right now and let us discuss all the things that have been, highlighted by the panelists and by a number of our presenters this afternoon. So without further ado, I would like the breakout rooms, and I'll see you guys later when we discuss the outcomes of the breakout rooms. So may we kindly please do this in the next 30 minutes. By 5 o'clock, please let's be back onto the main panel. Thank you so much.
smart for that particular area. I think the example of the Andy Loo, again, is something where you don't use any water, where you incinerating the waste. Those are good examples of smart technologies that aren't necessarily high tech from an electronics point of view, but they really are a good innovation. So I think when you think of solutions to our problems, they mustn't always be focused on technology. It definitely has its place, like in the smart metering area. And I think one of the challenges with the smart metering is, again, just having the skills to manage that sort of program, to repair those meters, to collect that data and manage that data. So there's I think that the first point that was made earlier on, I think was Candice who made it, just about skills development in the industry. I think, again, just so important in terms of meeting the need. So it's no good pushing high-tech solutions if the staff that are going to be employed to manage those solutions don't have the skills to do that. So I think that the solutions that we come up with need to match the resources that we have, both in terms of those resources on the ground, but also the human resource and skills element. So some very important issues, I think, that you guys are raising.
Takalani, I see you raised your hand. You should. You're more than welcome to just jump in.
Oh, yes. So, and the other thing, okay. Sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm actually based right now. I'm based in Mpumalanga, and I work for the National Department of Water and Sanitation under regulation. So, one thing that I've picked up when it comes to water efficiency is that one thing that is very important is that, yes, we can also think of innovative ways to come up with metering devices. But one thing that we should have on the back of our mind is that the type of, or the integrity of the infrastructure in which we're going to feed those metering devices, because of it will be worthless actually.
That's a great suggestion. I'm sure I should be able to table it internally and engage with the relevant office from a local government perspective, so that we could just have a plan around that, an implementation plan. And if am I correct, you are coming from local government, am I right?
Hello.
Hello, yes?
No, I'm from an NGO. I'm not with local, I'm from civil society organization.
Okay, no, that's great. Just to also add on, is that we just not only looking at creating SMEs and entrepreneurs, we also do support NGOs that are operating within the energy sector and community-based organizations. So our role really is to ensure that we cover all the stakeholders and that we enable the just transition, and we ensure that no one is left behind and everybody feel like they have a role to play within the value chains. So I think that's quite important to highlight. And then can we quickly touch on the last point, because for me I think that's quite pertinent, and it will really be a great feedback point towards plenary. What are the enablers? What needs to be in place to actually drive for this transition and to actually drive for inclusion, because that's what we're looking for.
I think for me personally, and as as an individual who's in the renewable energy space, the issues are directly and indirectly the sort of the driving forces and enablers for this transition, because the reality is ESCOM currently is faced with an issue, an energy crisis that seems to be larger than them. And it's not only affecting businesses, but it's affecting the livelihood of communities and individuals. So I think that in itself is sufficient of a reason to sort of express and articulate the urgency with which we need to reevaluate the current model and the current focus, and being able to make the transition and shift from traditional forms of energy to move to renewable energy, which is more sustainable, more eco-friendly. And beyond that, I think both on a governmental point and also in terms of the increasing technology of within the renewable energy space, it makes it easier to access the market. It makes it easier to have a foothold within the renewable energy space. And if you're an individual that doesn't only have business acumen, but looks to solve key problems, not only in South Africa, but Africa, it should be sufficient grounds and fundamentally shape your willingness as a business to attend to these problems and sort of resolve the issues that arise.
Thank you so much. Do we have another taker?
I wanted to just mention that as well, it would help if the local government, municipalities become more open to business innovation ideas from local entrepreneurs that want to pilot ideas, because municipalities have got the, legally they have authority to actually give a go-ahead to piloting a project in the areas of their jurisdiction. So for me, I think part of the awareness should also cover the point that they should be more open to new ideas, allowing entrepreneurs, especially young people, to come and pitch ideas at that level.
I think that's very important because without access for these young people to actually have a foot in the door and actually showing their ideas and their prototypes, then they're not even able to access the market. So that becomes an enabler to access the markets. Thank you so much, Malusi. Is there anyone else that wants to contribute?
I think also in terms of what Malusi just said, I think it's also very important to, as an extension of sort of giving that access, but also implement, whether it's in their own facilities, whether it's within the structures with the issues that they have, these technologies and innovations, so that when they advocate for renewable energy and ensure that it's something that's being pushed, it's justified and it's on the basis of something that they're trying. It becomes very difficult when you're advocating for something when your own facilities or your own buildings or certain stations don't have that substitute of renewable energy. So I think that's also very key to implement and in-house be able to be accepting of those solutions.
Thank you so much. And I think just from my side, areas where I would really want to also highlight as enablers, it's funding, because it's easy to actually participate in the sector when you do have funding, but obviously we in this country we appreciate that it's not easy to get access to funding. So I think from a government perspective, they would really need to, because when you look up at the energy sector, it's quite capital intensive, and it's not easy for a young person to actually raise the capital, and they might not even meet some of the criteria that your private financial institutions will be looking at, and even your developmental banks. So government really needs to look at how do they address funding from a grassroots level. And then finally, I think from my side, the last point I want to raise is skills obviously becomes an enabler to participate within the energy sector. I think I'm going to start picking on members that have not said anything yet. Am I allowed to do that?
Go ahead, Ketua, go ahead.
Thank you. So, okay. Tumi, are you able to just reflect on any of the questions that have actually been tackled within this group? You are muted if you are talking.
Hello?
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm not feeling too well. So today I was just asked by the OR Tambo District Municipality just to log in and just to get information from the sitting today. So I'm sure you can hear that my voice is really quite hoarse. No, I think thank you for the opportunity. In essence, I'm much of a listener, but on sorry, on questions that have been raised, just this last one, in terms of accessibility in government, it's that the biggest problem that locals, I can say districts and local government has, is that the financing is not as easy as it, let me say, used to be. Because I'm sure if you much of how government spends their finances is much regulated than it used to be. So it's always a problem. I know that we also have quite a number of young people that have come through to the office and requested assistance in terms of funding. But I think one of piece of advice I could give is that I know that it's DTI that mostly funds such initiatives. So, yeah, I think that's just what I can bring in because it's quite difficult speaking at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tumi, for your contribution, and we wish you speedy recovery, and thank you for your contribution. I think it's very important that the aspect that you've raised, that DTI is definitely one of the key stakeholders in this process. Thank you so much. Malusi, I see your hand is up. You can come in.
I just wanted to, maybe taking further the point that Tumi raised, and just check that part of the road show and your stakeholder engagement that you guys are going to be contemplating, whether you could slot in a capacity building initiative that specifically aims to build capacity of the entrepreneurs and young people on writing funding proposals for the funding entities, because funds come as a response to a business a proposal. And for me, that becomes a critical set of skills that these young people and entrepreneurs, if they are to implement any of these initiatives, they will need to have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that important point. Definitely, I think that those kind of skills are critical. because like you're mentioning, it's always in response, and if you haven't applied, then it becomes a challenge because you cannot be provided funding without putting the necessary applications. And beyond just applying, it's just to ensure that your proposal speaks to what the funder would be looking at. So definitely, I think that's quite critical to enable the participation. Randolph?
No, thank you very much. I think what Malus is saying is quite key. But however, I think there's also with what Utum is saying, insofar as DTI, it becomes there's a state of limbo because one, even in an instance where you do have the expertise and somewhat the ability to sort of submit those proposals, and there was high-level business plans that qualify for funding, you find that even the people in government themselves don't have an adequate understanding of the respective industries. For example, there's an application that we did make. It was for a grant funding of 3 million. But due to a misunderstanding or not fully knowing the energy sector, the funding got approved, but only for a portion of the grant funding, and it only financed the materials part of it, of which it becomes not redundant, but it becomes tricky because we have material worth a very large amount of money, but no supporting facilities to sort of help us manufacture this product that we had innovated. And the funding was attacking and tending to having a place to produce, having the equipment to produce, being able to pay the staff, and being able to convert these materials to sort of attend to what you were saying, producing certain components of renewable energy within South Africa. But also on the DTI side, you find that for the Black Industrial Scheme, they do fund up to 50 million. However, this grant it pays 50% of the total project worth. So let's say if you're looking to open up a factory of 100 million, they can fund you 50 million, but you need to have 50 million readily available, whether you're getting it from private funders or other forms of grant funding. So I think those issues become very delicate and make it very hard to sort of enter the market, if I'm making any sense. So I think there needs to be sort of a revisit and see how we can attend to that missing middle and state of limbo.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And I think I agree with you that definitely those need to be revisited, because at the end of the day, it becomes, it really does not seek to address the needs of the applicant if you are underfunding, and obviously it affects the actual project in terms of the impact of that project and how the project would have been implemented. Lloyd, your hand was up. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, I do want to come in. And, in addition to what Randolph is saying, is that it's also the exposure to grants. People have good ideas, but they don't know about the funding that's available. And I'll tell you, even being in this field and knowing about a lot of grants, yesterday I had a meeting with someone or another company that we're doing a project with, and they told me about a grant that's going to be funding a portion of their works. I went online, I checked the grant, and they actually fund work that we do. And I went back to the person and I told them, well, you see, this is another backlog. We don't have exposure. Like, we should have a centralized database that categorizes which opportunities are available, or even have initiatives that actually let people know which funding is available. I think people have great ideas, they just don't know enough about who can fund them.
Totally agree with you. I think from a government perspective, we are quite I think we have not really come together as various institutions to package ourselves in a way that there's a one-stop shop where everybody can go in and they have access to all this information. So I think definitely we should start the conversations internally in terms of ensuring that we drive that repository where the various partners are able to advertise their opportunities. I see that our room is coming to an end. Thank you so much for participating today.
Welcome back, everyone. I'll just give a minute or two more as we welcome all the groups back. So I'll just wait for a minute or two, then you can start off.
Sorry, Ashton. I think I closed it a little bit early, so Shaba just asked if we can go back until 1:15. Is that okay with everyone?
Sorry, come again?
Sorry, so Shaba just asked if we can actually keep the breakout rooms open until 1:15. So I'm going to reopen them. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Repository where people can get access to the various opportunities within government and in private sector. And then yes, and I don't know if anyone else felt that they wanted to contribute, and unfortunately I had to abruptly end the session earlier on.
Yes, Kate, so I think on my side, I was going to contribute that, I think we need to look into our procurement policies, for example, in the municipal space, or talk about public procurement. We should try and ensure that we have got policies in place that will, promote youth-led businesses, and more specifically, look into the local youth. So if there is a business that is led by local youth, maybe let it have a certain base points, for procurement, like we do with local content and all these, procurement points that are awarded, So maybe need to incorporate a sense of, local content, but in the context of, the business is youth-led and it's local. I know Johannesburg, I think they once had a certain component of their procurement policies that supported the youth. I don't know if that is still in place or it has been revamped into something else, but I think that would be a very important context.
Thank you so much for raising that, Ashton. I think that is critical. And for me, I think also it's because I think we're quite good from government perspective in rolling out policies and ensuring that we say that we are going to do this, but I think there must be measurements against that and ensure that from a quarterly basis, how are these different entities actually measured against how they've actually been able to meet those targets? Because once we start putting targets around it, then we'll start seeing measurements against the implementation on that aspect. Malusi, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Ketsiwe. I mean, just wanted to mention as well the mentorship, perhaps, looking at the flow of these ideas. I was just thinking that maybe part of this, there should be a very deliberate mentorship program so that when these young people, entrepreneurs, are actually attached to mentors that work with them, because it's a business risk as well, just to throw people into uncharted waters and hope that they will find their way out. I mean, I'm just throwing this idea out there to say, maybe now that we've got this brainstorming session, we should also look at how best we could build in a mentorship model that sort of walk the journey with these entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for me, it's even taking that even one step further. How then do we ensure that for the mentor, that they're able to link successful projects that through the mentorship program that that SMME or that entrepreneur has been able to attain, and because we want to ensure that these mentorship programs actually give birth, for lack of a better word, of greater projects. You know, it's not just a program. Then it was a mentorship program for 12 months, and then that was it. And buy on your own. How do you, within that program, ensure that you've assisted that person to actually be awarded a project or to implement a project in the energy space? Paseka, we haven't heard from you at all. Is there any aspect you want to add into this conversation?
Yeah, thank you very much for the consideration. My name is Paseka Lesolang. I'm actually more of a water technocrat, so this is more of informative to me. And that being said, I would also like to mention that I actually wanted to go to the water, and then I ended up in the energy, but it has been fascinating. One of the things that I picked up is a stakeholder that is not considered in particular is SALGA. SALGA plays a critical role, and it's one of those main channels where you talk to them and they can talk to the 200 plus municipalities in South Africa. So, but everything else has been very, very informative. I totally agree with most points. I've also had personal experiences where I apply for funds just to find out that the person on the other side is not so averse with the actual subject in question. And that's very disadvantaging, because we put a lot of effort into what we do as entrepreneurs, and to receive such feedback or service from government or funders in general who, but in this instance, I'm referring to government, it's doing us an injustice. And it's also portraying the public sector in a bad light, considering that there's this connotation that public servants are not really for the public. And on that note, let us also address the white elephant as well. We have a challenge with the public sector where in order to get things done at times, there's another separate discussion that has to take place, which is also disadvantageous to entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, where upfront expectations are set in place for youth or entrepreneurs to get the assistance, which should be otherwise straightforward. Most often than not, we meet the criteria anyway. So these are some of the aspects that are also delaying our progress as a country, and as entrepreneurs who are trying to contribute not only to the economy, but to society in general. So these are just some of the thoughts that have crossed my mind as I was listening to this discussion. I hope I've done justice to your inquiry. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Paseka. I think you raised two pertinent discussions. One, obviously, identifying SALGA as an important stakeholder. I think we had overlooked that, and that's quite a great contribution, because we know that our municipalities are important role players. And then obviously we know that the issue that you've raised in terms of corruption, and how does government accelerates their anti-corruption programs and ensure that those certain elements within the divisions are actually dealt with and meaningfully, so that we stop, because that is definitely a serious barrier, and it really stops and stifles growth of entrepreneurs within our sectors. I think it's already past our time. We were supposed to be back, but since they haven't pulled us back to session, I will ask Mixo to come in, or is it Miko or Mixo? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Do you have any comment you'd like to make?
Yeah, so it's Misho.
Thank you, Misho.
All right. No comments from my end. It's just worth listening as we prepare for the hackathon. So this is just content that we'll share with the participants for the hackathon, just some of the insights and things for them to consider. I do like the funding part and the support element of it. I think there's a lot of awareness that needs to be created, but also at the same time, there's a lot of, I don't know if I should say teaching or educating people. Yes, educating people on how to prepare for the funding. I like what Bruce said in terms of sometimes, there might be that misalignment. So this was just good insight, and it's definitely content that we'll share with the participants for the weekend's hackathon.
Thank you so much. I think from my side as facilitator, I must really take this opportunity to thank everyone for your contribution. I think it has been a great session, and we've learned a lot from each other. And there are a couple of takeaway items even from myself. I'm not seeing an opportunity where I could just chat, because I know that, okay, I don't know if I share my email address here, because I know that there were a couple of people that just wanted to my contact details. So I'm just writing them on chat. I'm not sure if you'll have access to it.
Yes, so the chat is there. We should all have access to it.
Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yes, so that's my email address for those that would want to take the conversation further on one-on-one with the energy and water SETA. I think we can use the time maybe for just a short break, or to quickly grab some water while we wait till we pull back to plenary.
So sorry for jumping in. On your top right corner, there is a tab which says return to main call. So I think those who want to jump straight into it can just click on that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think I'll be returning to the main call, not unless there's any last comments from anyone. Okay, in the absence of any comments, I think we can return to the main call. Thank you once more for participating.
One of the problem statements that we like our young people to phone in on Saturday and Sunday to find solutions. So I would like to ask the facilitators of the 3 different sections to just share with us what was discussed in the different breakaway rooms. If I can start off with the water component, for the water, food, energy, and nexus. So I'll start off with water, followed by food, and then lastly energy. So if I can ask the water team to just step in and please share with us your discussions in your breakaway room. What was discussed and what are the challenges that were put forward that need us to unpack on Saturday and Sunday? Over to the water team. Thank you.
Hi, Ashton. Hi everyone. There are some.
Go ahead, Abby.
I've never. I think this is the most I've ever spoken in a very long time. Sorry about that, but just to add to what the team was saying, and Stephen was also assisting a lot, and he had a lot of good input, and thanks to the rest of the team as well for sharing a lot of input on some of the discussions that we had. I think it was very productive. I think the problem statement that was identified was, how do we identify water losses? Because I think our topic of discussion was, is water efficiency, is water efficiency worth solving and why? And the team basically stated that we definitely all agree that water is something that we should, water efficiency is something that we all should be responsible for. And the challenges that we identified was ownership, where, the team spoke about the fact that, how do we ensure that every community member takes ownership, of the water losses that we have in our communities, especially, from the treatment side to the household side, and, not just making it a point that it's government's responsibility, but it's us as a community that needs to take ownership of some of the challenges that of water losses that we find in our communities as well as in the country. Sorry, Stephen, is there anything that I perhaps may have missed out on, if he's still available?
Thanks, Elwin and Elvin for that. And I think one of the other important issues that was brought up was just in terms of scenario planning and looking at the impact of development in that province and what impact that might have on our water resources. So things like mining, what would be the impact on that, and can we model those types of scenarios and see how that will impact our water use efficiency and our water resources. Thanks.
Ashton, sorry, I'm not sure if Ashton is still here. I'm not sure if he had some of our points. Hi, Ashton, are you still there? Okay.
I think we might have lost Ashton. I don't know if he can hear us, but I think we can continue to try to get him back online. He just sent us a message to say he just lost connectivity, but he'll join us shortly. But we can continue. We can continue. So I will just step in for him until he is back. Were you done, Mr. Nash?
Yes, thanks. I think we've covered, basically covered our discussions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I would like to invite the next group. Group that was working on energy. So I'd like to invite the energy group to please share with us your findings.
Thank you so much, Chair. It's Malusi Vacha speaking. We looked at the 4 key questions. One question is, who are the key stakeholders? Who are the key stakeholders, and what are the role in addressing the challenges? Number 3, what are the key interventions that would need to be prioritized? And the number 4, what are the current policy impediments for young people, SMEs, to participate in providing the solutions? And the last key question that we wanted to discuss was, what are the enablers for energy transition and water, energy, food nexus? Now, in terms of going to number 1, we felt that there is what is currently on the ground. It's a solar, wind, biogas, and the key aspect that need to be tackled holistically. This is more like your low-hanging fruits, if I can put it that way, that we can actually build on. And in terms of stakeholders, there is government departments that need to provide regulations, and the timing we felt was actually a very good opportune time, given the recent announcement by the president that there seems to be an appetite to move towards a nexus of green energy, and we also just felt that the large corporations, COGTA, given the fact that chiefs have got stewardship role over a vast land available that could actually be used for solar farms. Local municipalities and SALGA were identified as key stakeholders that could actually help to drive the investments. We also, the point was made about local production of components, that could give a lot of, sorry, I will come to that point. Let me just move on to what are the key interventions that would need to be prioritized, right? Now, one point that was raised was support from government was flagged as quite important. Access to finance, to access to communities, increased awareness about the energy mix, and address transformation that relate to giving more opportunities to young people and Black people in particular. Government need to improve their local content, and also a point about local production versus the products that we get from overseas. Government need to provide subsidies to local companies to make sure that these local companies can compete with the imported components. And these could actually give rise to a lot of job opportunities, especially in the maintenance side of things. If you talk about solar energy installations, whether it's a wind, biogas, you could create a lot of employment opportunities for maintenance for local young people there. And all priorities are on the trade. AU can also prioritize trade between countries and make it easy for the countries to trade between each other. And if I can move to that number 4, the question that was to be addressed was, what are the current policy impediments for young people, SMMEs, to participate? and what are the solutions? The key points there that were raised were skills development for young people, business management skills as priority skills, driving strategic partnerships was highlighted as a key intervention, and also SETA to have road shows in the Eastern Cape province to showcase what sort of help that they could actually provide through their offerings and support to NGOs, community-based organization, and every stakeholder that has got interest in the energy nexus. Now, the last question that we needed to talk to was, what are the enablers for the energy transition and water, energy, food nexus? Now, one point that was raised was the fact that ESCOM issues is actually affecting not just businesses, but livelihood of ordinary people. So that government needs to fast track this transition to this energy mix, given the crisis we have with ESCOM. And also increase in technology would actually be an enabler, make it easy to access the markets. Municipalities should facilitate access to communities and markets, implement these technologies, have pilot sites for awareness and uptake by different stakeholders. Funding opportunities was raised because energy sector is capital intensive. Skills become an enabler as well. Fundraising skills need to be prioritized in terms of business proposal writing, funding proposal, a repository of information with regard to funding opportunities for grants. And also there was a point on public procurement that would prioritize young people. Measurements in terms of targets should be set. What are the targets and how are these going to be achieved? And integrate in all these mentorship programs so that these people can actually have somebody to work with for a period, maybe about 12 months or so. And government should also accelerate anti-corruption programs so that the public sector has got a clean image. I'm going to end there. I don't know if colleagues want to add anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malusi. Then from a facilitator perspective, I just wanted to add that ours was just to really zoom in on the impediments on participation, because we know that within the Eastern Cape that there are various interventions, renewable energy interventions that are already in place. So how do we accelerate participation? And I think that was the key components that we were hoping to address.
Thank you so much, Energy. Thank you so much. I could feel the energy from your end. Well done. Thank you for sharing the discussions and the challenges that you guys focused on. May I kindly move on to food? I mean, we are behind time, so let's move on to food. Food.
Okay, thank you so much. With the food group, we were able to discuss what the group has been doing within the communities and ways that they found solutions that worked for them. And I think that the one issue that they have is access to resources and the support that small-scale farmers are in need of, not just finances, but even with seeds or chemicals that can be used in the operations to actually be able to increase the capacity of production. There are technologies that we've been aware of, especially regarding to the fact that water is, we have in many areas we are getting, especially in the Eastern Cape, some areas don't have water. and therefore farming can be a very difficult procedure to actually follow. So they have identified things like aquaponics as well as hydroponics, where we are able to increase our production and reduce for hydroponics to actually increase the production and the ability to minimize the amount of water that is used, but also maximize the production that we get. And then for your aquaponics, instead of using large, vast amount of land, even though it's accessible, you are able to use small areas and also increase in your production that you're actually doing. Another thing that we saw was that the importance of education and educating people that don't have access to your colleges or going to colleges or university, the ability to actually teach them basic ways of farming to those who don't have access to these facilities. That way, educated or people who have the privilege of going to university have developed a organization that was able to teach people in the community and how to actually farm, how they can get access to resources, assist with those resources if they can do from their own pockets. But what is important right now, and that what we need to realize, is that firstly, the municipality needs to assist in assisting such groups that have a background to get access to land, because land is there, but it's not utilized. And we do understand that there are certain regulations and environmental areas where they cannot be used because they'll tell you that it's a wetland, it needs to be protected. However, they need to be given access to such technologies such as your soil water sensors, your water trending systems, your agricultural systems, as well as fertilizations from within the area that can be used from even Mr. Ben's presentation. You can actually use that technology from your own waste to actually come up with a fertilizer that can fertilize the crops in the area. So therefore, if we can encourage information technology to actually innovate solutions that would actually improve the production of our crops, as well as your RFD technology to able to track your products and with the whereabouts of your products, and things like also vertical farming that also reduces the size in which your farm has to be, but increase your capacity as well. I think from the group as well, the pressing point is access to land, access to funding, access to knowledge, and as well as the ability to allow the innovative mind to actually develop something that speaks to the environment. There's no use as well to develop something that does not speak to the environment, because regardless of whether you cannot innovate something for a Durban market, or a Durban farmer may not speak to the farmer in East London, or a farmer in Mthatha or in Mdantsane or wherever. It will not speak to it because they do not experience the same issues. In Durban, we might experience an issue of soil. We might need sensors, but in Mdantsane, we might experience an issue of water or access to facilities or certain facilities. So I think the issue is that we need to be able to engage with the community to understand what are their needs instead of just innovating at the top of our minds thinking. So community engagement is very important, and as well as bringing the inclusion of energy, water, and food together, and understand that they actually intertwine as one. Thank you. Okay. You connected? I am.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for those summaries that you've shared with us. I would like to quickly, are you still there? Or are you still challenged the connectivity issues? Okay, no.
Quiet, Lucky, quiet. I'm struggling, quiet.
Okay, no worries. Thank you so much. So, colleagues, thank you very much. I think I would like to just thank the sessions and everyone who actually has been engaged in this platform. I mean, it's been really a long session, but we're happy to see the level of engagement that we have here. Without wasting time, I would like to invite our colleague, Charlotte, to just actually give us a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to be happening with the hackathon, how many teams are there, and all those kinds of logistics, so that everyone can understand. And also, I know we are open for further people who want to participate as mentors to support the process moving forward, so that there's continuity. Also, as the young innovators continue to work, we invite you to basically share with us your details. You can drop us an email on hello@4iraquatech.org, hello@4iraquatech.org, basically to that you want to participate in the hackathon, and then we'll definitely be communicating with you moving forward. Let me invite our colleague Charlotte to please just take us through the next steps. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lucky. And yeah, thanks everyone for a really fascinating set of presentations and discussions. So I'm sure the participants are all feeling really inspired and motivated for the weekend. So the hackathon is taking place on Saturday and Sunday. It'll be starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and it's going to take place over 32 hours. And I think what's really great about this debate today is that you all now have a head start on thinking about the problems and the priority areas. As you have gathered, we're really looking for innovations that are not just innovation for innovation's sake, but something that's really practical and can be implemented to have a real impact on communities that are facing water challenges. And the hackathon's quite a unique opportunity for our participants in being kind of designed in association with the 4IR Aquatech Accelerator. So that's a 6-month mentorship-driven program that's helping to fast-track sustainable solutions. It's already got 27 young innovators from across the country enrolled. So you'd have a chance to pitch the accelerator and join those other innovators and actually have the opportunity to turn your idea into reality, which is really exciting. So on Saturday morning, we will be providing a more detailed breakdown of exactly how the weekend's going to go, a schedule, and also the judging criteria. Between now and then, you'll also be getting a summary of the discussions from today's debate and the problem statements. So you'll be able to read over those in your own time. In the meantime, please join the virtual hackathon workspace on Slack. I'm just going to pop it in the chat now. So that's the link if you haven't already joined. We've already got over 25 teams on there, which is great. And what you should do if you haven't got a team is join the list of teams channel and start networking with other participants. Just have a chat with other people, see which challenges you're interested in, let people know what kind of skills you're bringing to the hackathon. Some people will be coders, other people will be more entrepreneurs, other people maybe have expertise on the water energy food nexus. So yeah, just try and find some people you'd like to work with. The sooner you have your team, the sooner you can start hacking on Saturday. So it's a great idea to kind of get on there now if you can. Myself and my colleagues from Geek Culture, Lizette, Misho, Tiani, and Kia will be on the platform. So feel free to contact us there if you've got any questions. And as Lucky mentioned, if anyone else in the call is interested in being a mentor to the participants over the weekend, supporting them with questions they might have or any of the specifics, please let us know. We would love to have you on board as well. So it's a great opportunity for the participants, for you guys to network and really meet some of the people already working in this sector. Thanks again for signing up to the hackathon. We're really looking forward to seeing all of your creativity and talent and ideas, and to hopefully create some amazing solutions at the end of the weekend. Please join Slack. There's lots more information on there. And I'll pass back to Mr. Lucky Litulu now for his vote of thanks in closing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charlotte, for that breakdown. I'm sure our stakeholders, have a clearer picture of what to expect in the next couple of days. I want to just take this moment to thank all our stakeholders. I want to thank the Office of the Premier, for the level of support that you've given to this initiative. We are deeply, deeply humbled to see this coming alive. we've highlighted that really this is a very special year in South Africa, as we celebrate 27 years of freedom, but we are also celebrating this month, 47 years, we're commemorating the 1976 Soweto uprising. And it's lovely to see young people coming in their numbers, supported by stakeholders across the board in helping to translate ideas or coming to up with solutions to some of these big issues that are not only important for South Africa or the Eastern Cape, but they're important for the country and the rest of the world. So we're super delighted to see the level of engagement, the support that we've received from municipalities, from all the institutions that actually came on board to actually say we are raising our hands to be enablers and to assist young people to realize their dreams and ensure that they help to solve these critical issues. And I would also want to thank our sponsors. Without them, this initiative would not have been possible. Thank you to the EWCTA, an amazing team there that actually is really supporting this initiative. We appreciate all the work that you do to ensure that this and many young people can actually see their dreams becoming a reality. And also our team at 4IR Aquatech, the team at ICRD Group, we appreciate the time that you've invested really to ensure that you put things together. Our partners at Gig Culture, guys, you guys are awesome. I really cannot, overemphasize, how we appreciate our relationship, and it has been growing over the years. And I know we're going to do amazing things together to change and shape the innovation landscape in South Africa and beyond. And our contributors, we've got our partners such as colleagues from Border, we had Dateven, Mfazo, and many other stakeholders who came as facilitators, to come and support this initiative. We thank all our panelists, who came through, to really say, no, guys, we will support you and ensure that this takes place. And how can I forget, the young motor professionals and, in the Eastern Cape and nationally, WISA as well for really waging in and supporting this initiative. Estienne, thank you so much. Amanda and the team, we really, really appreciate what you're doing. I think also, the team that actually came through, thank you very much also to Amatole district municipalities. I know that they've also given us some stakeholders to say, please work with some of our experts and so forth. And I know other municipalities as well have raised their hands, and they'll continue to raise their hands in support of all the work that we're doing. And all the organizations and everyone who presented today, thank you so much. As we've said, ours is really to strengthen and to build a long-term relationship. We would love to journey with you beyond this particular engagement. Drop us an email if you've got ideas on what we can potentially do together. Please, we are happy to collaborate. And at the same time, we are also looking forward to ensuring that we can also journey with you and for you to see the next step of this process. Because beyond, Sunday, of course, on Sunday, there will be prizes that will be given to the top winning concepts. And some concepts will then be given an opportunity to join the Accelerator program, which is a 6-month mentorship program that Charlotte highlighted, which would be fantastic. There will be an opportunity there and beyond to ensure that we can support young innovators. And we are also looking for opportunities to implement these solutions in the municipalities and in particular in the Eastern Cape. So we would love to actually have a couple of pilot sites that are absolutely critical. And please also check the mail there. I see that Charlotte is sending a couple of really interesting, reminders. Please remember to check those. And I want to say thank you very much. I know I might be missing a lot of people. It's so hard actually when there's so many people involved in getting these processes off the ground. I want to say to all of you, thank you. And we look forward to seeing this journey, coming to, an end on Saturday and beginning the next 6 months, and ensuring that we can see new innovations, taking off. I would like to thank all of you and to wish you a very good evening, and to appreciate also the your engagement and ensuring that your engagement throughout, and ensuring that you remain and you're patient with us as time also as we took even longer time than we initially proposed. But thank you so much, and all the best and good evening to everyone. Cheers.
That's